Since I saw you last, I adopted a puppy. This brings my current fur baby total to 4, 3 dogs and a cat. I've owned pets for most of my life, rounding out 5 each, cats and dogs, and my folks and I are on the verge of being epic foster fails. That means we might bring another one in this week. My family lost our first 2 dogs, Chaucer and Cerberus, within a year and a half of each other, leaving sweet Miss Lily alone for the first time in her life. It was a few short months before we adopted Zeus 2 years ago, right in the middle of the pandemic when you can't take the time to socialize a dog because you can't see people in person, and I swore up and down that I would never adopt another puppy ever again. Puppies are, doubtless, exhausting. Evidently, I enjoy surprising myself, and as I have with all of my fur kids, I fell head over heels in love, this time with a little Chihuahua, maybe Yorkie mutt, and I just couldn't resist bringing him home. And it turns out this was a great move for my ministry, but maybe a little questionable with my timing, not in the least of which, having this puppy forces me to think of something outside of myself, and maybe once in a while just get the heck out of the house and away from the laptop. When you're taking care of something so small, so fragile, you have got to slow down. You rethink everything. Whether it's your first, your 5th, your 50th, or 500th, there is a lot of learning to do when you are responsible for a living, breathing being, and frankly, no turn with a tiny being of any nature is going to be the same way twice. After my summer away from this wonderful tapestry family, and how I have missed you all, I've been walloped between mountains of reading, hours of classes, and oodles of studying. I was on a boat docked in Ensenada when suddenly the time had come to make good on my end of the sermon title and blurb, and I had absolutely zero inspiration. 2 days later, when I was back home, I was no better off. Oh God, I panicked. What am I going to write about? And then I looked over at darling little Vulcan, a whole 8 weeks old, maybe a whopping 6 pounds soaking wet, and I marveled, my goodness, how big the world must look to him. And then I thought, there's a sermon in that. Humans have this bizarre tendency to see ourselves as unstoppable, all important, and even perhaps invincible. We are gods walking among the mortal realm, and the idea that humanity has conquered Mother Nature is a long-standing and deeply held belief of Western society, if nothing else. It's no secret that this line of thought is a large part of why we are in the climate crisis that we find ourselves weathering. Humans, or perhaps more specifically, colonizers, have by and large in the last few centuries approached the world as something to be used, to be mastered, and have failed to understand not simply the importance, but the necessity of harmonious living within and as a part of nature. Being a part of the web is not one that is really ingrained in our Western thought. It's not part of our culture as a whole, and it's not a practice our communities have engaged with generation after generation. It's something that we find ourselves needing to seek out, to make the effort to know how to learn to do, and to be mindful of how to do it well. Now, I know not everyone here is a dog person, and this sermon is not an attempt to convert you into one. Some people prefer cats, bats, birds, fish, or reptiles, and each one is worthy and worth loving. But I won't deny that for me, there is something really special about a dog. They haven't earned the distinction of man's best friend for nothing, and I, for one, am happier and more fulfilled for loving and sharing my life with them. I love my cat too, but it's more like a roommate situation. So from the front lines of puppy rearing, here are a few meaningful illuminations that I have discovered and rediscovered since bringing two tiny fluffs into my life. Always approach things with curiosity. Of course, a puppy is an infant animal with no knowledge or understanding of the world around it. There's always something new to do, to see, to chew. And as they make their way on tiny fluffy paws, there's always something different to sniff out. Not only that, they do it with gusto, not only being curious, but leaning into that curiosity. We humans are much less likely to be so curious, particularly with the old adage, curiosity killed the cat. We are in many ways discouraged from being curious, which is not necessarily a bad practice. It's certainly a way to protect ourselves from danger. But if we approach parts of our world with puppy-like eyes, there may yet be things to learn that we might have otherwise missed. It's how we connect with the physical world around us, how we experience new places with a sense of wonder. And it's especially useful in connections between people. It's a pretty solid way to get to know someone on a good day, yes, but curiosity is also crucial for understanding various perspectives. It's how we expose ourselves to new thoughts and practices, rather than throwing up walls around our beliefs and understandings. Being curious about things that are outside of our norms allow us to be open to learning and change. New places, new faces. Going on a journey rooted in curiosity is how we can create the foundation for wholeness. Playtime is a must, and never turn down a good nap. Dogs have two speeds. Gotta go fast and don't bother me, I'm sleeping. Both of which are perfectly reasonable responses to the world around them. I've seldom met a dog who didn't want a little bit of attention in the form of an ear scratch or a friendly roll in the grass with another pup, followed shortly thereafter with a nice long nap basically wherever they lay. Maybe a lap if they're really lucky. When was the last time you played? Can you remember it? What did you play? And how often do we get to do that, especially once we reach our teenage years and beyond? Playing, being playful, using our imaginations, these practices can be grounding forces, reconnections with our past young selves who sometimes may still need to be nurtured. Add in the joy of playing alongside an actual real-life child, and we are invited to return to the same innocence and curiosity that we once held. And somehow, if we look hard enough, we can see the world in much brighter colors through their eyes. Of course, we shouldn't play so hard that we forget to rest. In our daily grind, hubbub world, the act of resting is revolutionary. Indeed, there is so little pressing in this life that we can't pause long enough to take a nice, long, restorative nap. Maybe in the warm, sunny spot in the really soft, squishy parts of the grass. Love. Always love. A dog's natural state is a friendly demeanor and love from the tip of their snoots to the end of their little wagging tails. No one and nothing loves the way that a dog loves. Completely, unabashedly, with no qualms or conditions. Of course, it's not possible to love every person we meet in this way, and even if we did, it wouldn't necessarily be considered healthy. Not every human deserves our specific unconditional love. But to love in the fashion of a dog unlocks opportunities to see the best in each other and the chance to love when we are at our worst. It hearkens to our individual divinity to love and be loved because of and in spite of all of our parts. Loving our earth and all its creatures with the same depth that dogs love us, by being stewards of and caring deeply for all of Mother Nature's parts, reveals to us just how connected we truly are. Loving nature selflessly reminds us that we are dependent upon this place and all our mortal connections to it. Every day is the best day that a dog has ever had. Genuinely, a dog is always happy to see you, and getting to hang out with their person is the greatest thing in the world. A kept dog's life is simple. Eat, sleep, play, snuggle, repeat. And there's a beauty in such sort of simplicity, and it doesn't leave much room for all that not fun stuff. My goodness, the lives that we could lead if we can avoid being bogged down by the frustrations and anxieties of our adult human lives. Approaching the day with the best intentions, the highest of hopes for the bestest of best days, can lead us to finding the good, even in the worst of them. This isn't a ploy for a permanent positive mental attitude. It's not a platitude or a foray into the facade of a perfect life. Consider it an encouragement to find the things that can bring us the same type of enjoyment that dogs intuitively find, reframing parts of our lives as sacred and wonderful for what they are, not what we hope them to be. I think the next time someone asks me what a Unitarian Universalist is, I think I'm going to show them a dog. Dogs are the best parts of us. They love in the way our principles ask us to strive. They accept the world and everything in it just as it comes, with no requests for other. They know they have a place in this world and they relish it. They forgive us when we fall short of being the human that they adore. When given the chance, they can bring levity, brightness, and joy to our lives, just for being the wonderful little souls they naturally are. Dogs are pretty darn close to God's perfect creation, frankly. Nature did not create dogs by accident. You certainly can't fake that type of soul. And I don't think we're here by accident either. Unitarian Universalism asks us to try to be just as good. There's no expectation of perfection. Instead, there's just a call to action, to allow ourselves to live and be changed by our social and physical locations in life, to let the experiences of others awaken us to new ideas and ways of thinking and engaging. When we let ourselves be challenged and changed in these ways, it opens up new realms of which to explore ourselves, our faith, our theology. It's a dog-like curiosity that sets us up to be changed in ways that lean into being the faith of liberation that we Unitarian Universalists seek to be. Dogs look up to us. They put their faith in their dog moms and dog dads and dog parents to do right by them, to treat them with dignity and love, and only want to be the best for us that they can be in return. Perhaps we should seek the same faith in ourselves and hope for the best in each other. Maybe we could all be a little more like dogs. A little more curiosity, a sprinkle of more play, a splash of finding the magic in the everyday. Definitely take all of the naps. And always, always try to love just as we are. So may it be, and amen.